field. Can they do it again? Yes, they can!
And the catch is made by Taj Washington. Touchdown, USC.
Blocked by Embiid! Timmy, yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Beef Up Front podcast here on Pick Swap Media. This year is Ryan Coyle, as always, back for the second episode of our new series, Breakdowns with Beef, where I'm going to be breaking down the top college quarterbacks from this past season as we enter NFL draft season. Recording this on Monday of Combine Week, Monday, February 27th. So there's going to be a lot of, moving parts with some of these prospects that we're going to be talking about throughout this series from the quarterback side. Throughout this week. Today's episode, we're going to be breaking down Bryce Young and his game this year versus LSU. We already did his whole breakdown on his game versus Tennessee. That was our first episode of the series, so make sure to head over and check that out if you haven't checked out that one already. The big storyline, I think, with Bryce Young going into the combine, I don't really think he's going to be competing on the field and with throwing and whatnot, just because of everything he accomplished in college. You don't really need another look at him, but his measurables are certainly going to be taken into account. It's been rumored that he might be approaching that 200-pound mark, and his size is certainly the biggest question mark to his game that a lot of, scouts would be worrisome of. He's listed at 6 foot 194 right now. I'm intrigued to see what his official combine measurements are, because I doubt he's 6 foot. I think he's more so 5'10", 5'11". And then if he is up to around 200 pounds, that'd be big. But that's all going to be decided later in this week. So by the time this episode's out, you get some more beef breakdowns and then get some more clarification on his measurables. But just like at last episode, we're just going to be ripping through this game. This is every throw or every drop back, actually. So there's a few of his scrambles and a few sacks in there as well. But we'll be going through this whole game. In this matchup for Alabama against LSU, this was an Alabama loss. They lost 32-31 in overtime to LSU. One of the better endings to a college football game this year. It was a really fun game. Bryce Young only went 25 of 51 in this one, but he did throw for 328 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he had 4 rushes for 10 yards in the game. So without further ado, let's get into it, and let's break down Bryce Young and this entire game versus LSU here. All right, so first play from scrimmage, really nice anticipatory throw there. That's one of the things that sticks out most about Bryce Young's game. You see up here, you got the outside backer kind of hitting over there to his zone, corner here. There's not going to be that big of a window, but Bryce Young knows it's going to be open just enough, and he throws with great anticipation here and completes his pass. Right in there, hits his receiver in stride and lets him get a few more yards before he eventually gets tackled. You'll see it here, kind of another view of it. This area, he knows, all right, he's got that kind of leverage on him there. He's going to be able to beat him inside. This outside linebacker's heading over to the flat. Safety's kind of looking there across the middle, or the linebacker is right there looking across the middle. So he knows that this little hole is going to be open there unless this linebacker is doing a really good job of disguising that coverage. But it seems like he's locked in on him. We're going to hit this slant right there. Just a simple kind of throw, good way to start the game, but shows his real good anticipation and accuracy on this one. Just a quick, simple little screen, get the ball to a playmaker in space. Nothing too crazy there to write home about. It's a nice pass there. You see him scan the field. He stays in that pocket. One of the things I like about Bryce Young the most is no matter if he's standing straight up, upright in the pocket, or if he's out in the move, he's always got the ball right here, ready and positioned to throw. He's always looking to throw. He's never looking to – he can use his legs, but even when he uses his legs, he's still looking to throw the ball. And he's not afraid to sit in the pocket and wait for the plays to develop. Sometimes with these more mobile quarterbacks these days, we see them get flushed easily right away, and they don't really let the play develop, which sometimes it works to their benefit. They're better just ad-libbing originally, but – Bryce Young, despite being as mobile as he can be at times, is such a good passer from the pocket and just shows the poise and ability to just sit in there and throw even when pressure's coming at him. You're just going to see it here. Watch. He scans the field, finds the open guy. All right, so that's a bad play with the interception. You'll get another angle of it there, but this is kind of what I'm talking about. Obviously, not the greatest example with the interception, but look, he has the ability to step up and run here. I mean, I think if he made this play again 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a touchdown. It's just a poor pass behind him. He's got all this end zone space in front of him that he can just lead his receiver to. Just a poor pass by Bryce Young. You don't really see him make mistakes that much. This is one of them, but still, I love where he steps up here and all eyes are on him. Look at all these 1, 2, 3 linebackers, just straight eyes on him. He might be able to just dump it in the flat there to the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. He might be able to make a guy miss and score. But Bryce Young, always, like I said, just watch him here. He's got the ball up high, ready to throw. And as he approaches the line of scrimmage, they think he's going to just be running. That's where he has the ability to just dump it off. Obviously, here an incomplete pass, but just like the IQ and just him seeing that play is one of the things I think that stick out to me the most. And that's, I guess, when you're like a box score watcher and you're just looking at the stats, you're like, oh, he threw an interception. But it's like going into it, the whole process was right. Just the product or the final result wasn't. And I think that's one thing that you really have to take into account when you're evaluating these players. Steps up here, and there's when they show the other angle, there's so much room in front of him. Just a bad miss here on the throw. But he does everything right, keeps his eyes downfield. All he has to do is dump it out in front. He misses badly, poorly behind. That's a play certainly he would like to have back. So we'll rewind to that one real quick. When we went over the Tennessee game, my big thing that I was harping on him was for his mechanics and lack thereof at sometimes. When he rushes his throws, I understand there's going to be misses. You're not going to complete 100% of your passes. But if you're being talked about like Bryce Young is as a future number 1 overall pick potentially, and some pretty big names, like I've heard Patrick Mahomes as a comparison thrown out for him, you got to hit some of these layups more often. I'm not saying this throw is exactly a layup, and you're going to have receivers drop it from time to time. But when he gets rushed sometimes, I know I said earlier, he is good when it comes to sticking in the pocket and facing the pressure. But he can rush his throws sometimes, and when he throws it off his back foot like he does here, it leads to an incompletion. He's going to have to clean up a lot of these mechanics, so I think at the next level. But I don't think there's any question that he's got like the drive, the work ethic, and just the overall makeup to realize these flaws and work on them. From Alabama, especially, he's been coached hard. This is just something that I think he's just going to have to clean up at the next level to reach that ceiling of the player he can potentially be. Just watch his footwork here and just kind of his off-balance throw, which leads to a poor pass, poor accuracy, and an incompletion. So that one, that's a receiver's fault there. But going back to the Tennessee game as well, this is, I think, one of the big things where if you're going to be watching this series, make sure you go back and listen to what I've said about some of the other ones, because good things are going to pop up a lot and bad things will pop up. But you kind of notice that when you're looking at the tendencies of a player. When he steps up and he delivers like he does there on a rocket, that's a play an NFL receiver is going to make. This is one of the least talented offensive squads, I think, around an Alabama cornerback since for the past 5 to 6 years. Like what Jalen Hurts and Tua and Mac Jones had in front of them, much more talented guys, and we've seen those guys in the NFL making plays on Sunday than this Alabama group. This is a suspect Alabama offense, and it's a receiver that an NFL receiver I think is going to make this catch, but it's an impressive ball, an impressive throw, just doesn't get brought in, and I think that's kind of reflected in his completion percentage for this game, going only 25 of 51. He's not throwing a bunch of bad incomplete passes. He does miss on a few time to time, but certainly the receivers don't really help him out in this game. See, like when he steps up into the pocket and he just transfers his weight forward, as I talked about in the Tennessee game, he delivers a really nice clean ball 9 times out of 10. It's when he gets those sloppy mechanics, and that's when it leads to the incompletions that are his fault. I think this is more so the receiver's fault in this one. Hits the hands there. That's still a diving catch you would have to make, but still, that's one that if you're a top level SEC receiver, you're bringing that in 9 times out of 10. So we'll go back to that play, or here even we get another angle of this. So pressure's coming here. You see another guy up at the line of scrimmage. Watch what Young does, though. Instead of just flushing and looking to run right away, he's still looking ready and wants to beat you with his arm, not his legs. So you see him here. Pressure's coming in. LSU, by the way, some of these pass rushers really stuck out to me. I know that they had a few young guys that we're going to be hearing a lot more of over these next few years, but Alabama's tackles were getting worked a lot in this game. Some really good pass rushers coming up. But see Young here. He's got all this grass in front of him where he can run. We know he eventually does run on this play. But watch where the ball is. He's still looking to make this play downfield. And this is one of the things that helps him later. He has a big touchdown on an ad-lib play later after escaping several guys on a sack where he could have just ran and got 5 yards. But he keeps looking downfield and is always ready to throw the football. And I think that's the thing I love about him most. Still, even there, he's still looking to throw. And then finally, he crosses the line of scrimmage. He knows he has to tuck and run. But always looking to beat you with his arm. Doesn't really feel the pressure on that one. They bring the weak side corner blitz in there. Still able to get rid of it. He saw him. But that's one of the plays where I would like to maybe even, unless he was confident that his receiver was going to be able to get open there, just you got the speed, just flush. Just use your legs there, even if you're going to pick up only 3 or 4 yards. Just don't throw an incompletion where you're kind of backed up in your own territory. I believe, that was ruled an incomplete pass, but that's still another case where, that's a really tough throw to make. But this is one of those throws where I was talking about earlier, where he loads up and just fires it. In between 2 defenders, that was a tough play to make there. But still, just showing you the tools and the ability. His ability to make defenders miss on pass rushes as well. Like I said, these tackles were kind of getting worked in this game. I'm really impressed by some of these pass rushers, but his ability to just make guys miss, reset his feet, and throw the ball, and even though that's an incomplete pass, still really intriguing to me. Just another drop there, kind of harming that completion percentage as I touched on. That one, I think this is a play where I had this written down in my notes. It's kind of open if he goes now, but I think Bryce Young purposely throws this one incomplete because I think he knows if, I believe this number 17 here, if he catches it on this slant, this linebacker's taking his head off. And I think you kind of see that on this throw where it's like last second, he already knows he has to get rid of it, but he just kind of throws it towards his feet more so just to protect his receiver. It's just a smart play. Just shows another thing about his IQ. Third and 12 here. And that's another thing I noticed in the Tennessee game as well. His field awareness at times isn't that great. When he was backed up in his own end zone there, he almost got hit in the end zone, almost took a safety here. Watch on 3rd and 12. He did this in the Tennessee game as well, where sometimes, you live to see another down. Let's not try to make a guy miss there. You got another free rusher coming at you. Just get it out of your hands. Not much there, just kind of a little dink and dunk. Goes back to what we talked about in the Tennessee game where he plays football like a point guard. You'll notice that throughout the game a lot. He does take what's given to him, but he also has the ability to make the big play. Good ball there. Gets it out to his receiver with a lot of space to run. That's Jerry Jeudy. That's Jalen Waddle. That guy's probably taking that to the house. But he's got the pressure coming in here. And back to what I said earlier, not the cleanest mechanics on that play. But watch him sit in the pocket. He knows the pressure's coming. And I think Bryce Young is kind of aware of this too, that this LSU defensive line, this LSU pass rush can really get after him. And he knows that he's got to get the ball out of his hands, and his offensive tackles weren't the greatest this year, in my opinion. And I think he would say that as well if you gave him a lie detector test. But this is a circumstance where I think he knows that this play could develop into something. With them bringing extra pressure, he's able to get his receiver on the move in space, sits in there, doesn't flush, and just hits his receiver perfectly in stride for a big gain there on 3rd down as well. So running back there, and you get him out in space. just a smart play there. Another instance of just kind of taking what the defense gives you, let your playmaker do the rest. Gets sacked there on 3rd and 5. I know that he's had a few bad plays, and I still somewhat find a way to give him a compliment somehow, which I guess just goes to the testament of how good he is, even on some of these bad plays. But just his quick twitch ability here to stop and start really quick with probably a future first round. I'm not even sure who this is that tackles him, but this guy's probably going to be like a future first round pick, just the way this guy moves and playing at an SEC school like LSU. I know he gets sacked on this play, but his ability to stop and start, quickly move again. I know he winds up getting sacked, but that's just something watching the game that you're like, not many other guys out there can do that. The way that Bryce Young moves, his quick twitch ability is very special. Right here where it stops, I know he gets sacked, but just that ability to quickly stop and start is another really good trait I like about him. There's another play where he throws it off his back foot, and it's going to lead to an incompletion here. More players getting pressured, but there's a lot of grass right there where he needs to complete that ball. That ball can't be an incompletion at the feet. He's got to step up and stop throwing off his back foot with all his weight back there. It leads to too many incompletions for him. Good play there on 3rd and 4. I have that marked down. Third down, he impresses me in terms of what I've talked about a few times, where him being the point guard kind of and just taking what the defense gives him, where he'll distribute it, he'll dink and dunk, and he knows how to move the chains, and he's very aware of those certain situations. This little out route there showing off the arm strength. LSU brought pressure all night in this one. That's another pass where that ball needs to be completed. 2nd and 6 here. This one is behind the receiver. That's out in front. It's probably not getting a first down, but you're setting them up for a 3rd and 1, not a 3rd and 6 there. Another instance where, all right, he's getting pressured. He knows pressure's coming. Or I like that angle better. We'll wait for that angle. But 3rd and 6, and he converts again. We got some pressure coming off the edge here. In Alabama, I think we've seen this a few times already. They really like this little angle route for the running back. They had that big, whatever that was, like a 70-yard gain, I think, earlier in the game on that 3rd down as well. Here he goes again. And just watch when he steps up. It just looks so much better, so much more clean. And I like to consider myself, not a QB guru, but I like to think that through my experience of watching these games and just being around the game, I can notice these certain trends and tendencies where if I'm noticing them, the scouts and the coaching staffs are certainly going to notice them, and they're certainly going to be harping on them a lot more than I am. So just watch him here. He knows he wants to hit the running back on this little angle route, steps up right there, delivers it in space, another first down, move the chains again. And this is a 2-minute drill here, so it's another good chance to see what he can do in that kind of time. Another play where he sits in the pocket, he knows the pressure's coming in, and he still delivers a strike for another first down here. Gets a hold in there on the other side as well. Another play where he's able to get out of the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and find the receiver. Always looking to throw, never looking to just use his legs to run. Another play where that's got to be a catch by the running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is being talked about as a first-round pick. That's got to be a catch. He got a little bit of alligator arms on that one. Another play there at the end of the half where he's just taking what the defense gives him. Running back gets lit up there, but I think this is my favorite thing about him as a player, his ability to be slippery in the pocket and evade these rushers and then reset his feet and throw. It sticks out to me time and time again while watching this tape. Watch here, feels it, steps up, steps around, always keeping the eyes downfield too. It's so easy. It's so easy for a quarterback with his athleticism to on that just flush and start running. But that's where you see guys eventually start getting hurt, like a Justin Fields, where he doesn't have good offensive line play, and he's much more gifted as an athlete and a runner than Bryce Young is, I think. But still, his ability to use his legs to his advantage almost every time. But that we saw led to some injuries and some hurt. Even Jalen Hurts this year. Bryce Young can do that, but he's only going to do that if it's a must. That's kind of what Patrick Mahomes does as well. Big times, big plays, like we saw in the Super Bowl. He's going to run and take off if it's there, but he's always looking to throw first. A little bit behind him there, but another play where those mechanics were a little bit cleaner, stepped up and delivered a nice strike. Put that a little bit further out in front of him. He might be able to make that safety miss on the run. Which is a play where, that's tough there. I mean, as I said earlier, there's some gifted defensive players on this LSU defense, and this Alabama offensive line is not that great. You look at mock drafts or even some of these top prospect lists, not many guys on there are from this Alabama offensive line. I'm not sure if that's because some of these guys went back to school or they're just not being highly touted as prospects. But sacks are going to happen. Certainly, he might be able to get the ball away in this one, but there's also, I think, I might be a little too hard on him, but I think he has a little bit of a lane here where he can step up, or even if he just wants to hit the receiver in the flat. Not sure what the tight end is doing route wise there. Let's see. He might even have him. It'd be tough to get rid of that, but wait till we get back to that center angle. I think there's a scenario where we're going to see there's a little bit of a place where he can step up and he still will be able to do what he does best, where he's keeping his eyes downfield. But this is a situation where I think he has a one-on-one chance with the linebacker here. He might even be able to make him miss and run for some more yards. So sometimes I think he can use his legs a little bit more to his advantage in situations like this where he might not be comfortable passing with the rush. But you'll see that here. He has a chance to step up, I think, and avoid this sack, but just a mishap on his part. Right here, all right. So you see, he's got this one-on-one kind of opportunity. If he stepped up like a half second sooner, I think he's able to get out here a little bit to the left and have a one-on-one chance here, or even the tight end streaking across the middle, or just get the ball out in the flat there. Even the running back there, number one, he's kind of was jumping up and down because I think he knows if he gets it to him, it's a one-on-one opportunity, and he might be able to make a guy miss as well. Able to handle a bad snap there, still get it out to the receiver for a screen and get some yards. Another throw where he's off the back foot and it leads to an incompletion, missing high. He's got to be able to step up and hit him right there, going across the 10-yard line for a completion and be able to move the chains. He throws it. Just watch. Kind of go slowly through this. Just watch when he delivers, or when he releases the ball. Look where all his weight is. Look how lean back he is on that. Instead of stepping up, he can throw it right now. He can step up. He's still not being pressured and forced to throw it like this. He can step up and throw it right now, straight across the 10-yard line, and that's a first down. We've seen him make those throws before, time and time again. But he kind of gets lazy. He kind of feeling the pressure. He starts sitting back. And he winds up missing high. We'll see when he releases the ball. Look when he releases. He's not even going forward at all. He's still backwards. He's still leaning back, and that leads to the incompletion here that we see. High and away. It's another miss there. Stepped up a little bit better, though, on that one. This LSU pass rush is scary good. Watching him on film. That's a play that another poor pass by him. That should have been his second interception of the game. This one's behind the receiver. He got lucky that it didn't get picked off on this play. Watch it here. Way behind the receiver. That should have been an interception there. This is a play where a little bit of the communication and the timing's off. It's another instance where, this is a NFL receiver. If he just say he does wind up going to the Colts, Michael Pittman Jr., I think he's getting the separation quick enough and freeing himself up here. But also LSU, as I've been saying, great defense. These corners might be first-round corners when it's all said and done. But this is a play where I think an NFL receiver is making this grab because I think he puts it in a good enough spot. The receiver just doesn't get enough separation. That's like right where I'm pretty sure that's right where Bryce Young is coached to throw the ball. I mean, it's about waist high, only where the receiver could get it. I think the receiver didn't come off that kind of route quick enough to get that separation to the outside there. Just kind of a throwaway there. It's another instance where this LSU defense kind of pushing the pocket there on him a bit. He should have that one right there across the middle where they circled on the broadcast, but doesn't pull the trigger. Back to that slippery ability in the pocket. I know he winds up getting sacked there, but he just shows that ability to get out of the pocket there and make those plays. I know, as I said earlier, it's kind of weird complimenting a player when he gets sacked, but that's still a crafty ability by him. You can't take that away from him. His ability to kind of shake these defenders out. But this is where I think he just has to know, all right, there's nothing there. Let me throw it away. Let's not take the sack on this one. Can't make a home run on every play. He scored a touchdown eventually on that drive, and he misses the 2-point conversion attempt there. Little dink and dunk there. That's a very nice ball. Shows the ability to get out of the pocket, hit a receiver on the move. That should be a touchdown. And that's like his picture perfect mechanics. Like that play right there is when we talk about him being a special player, and when he has everything cleaned up. That's it. Like that's the play. That should be a touchdown. The receiver just falls and slips before being able to catch the ball. But look at the perfect form right there. Perfect form, like can't be any better. And this pass can't be any better. The receiver just simply slips and falls. And that's what I was saying earlier, where this is certainly not as talented as an Alabama team. And I think that's something you certainly have to take into account when you're evaluating these quarterbacks. That's a walk-in touchdown, and the receiver just stumbles. That's one of the things in the film room on Monday where you're just, scratching your head at. And here's that play I talked about earlier that I hinted at. They eventually get it back there for the touchdown. But where I talked about this play earlier before we get into it, this ability to evade these rushers, still keep your eyes downfield, not just flush the pocket and look to run. And it's another scenario where him approaching, getting closer to the line of scrimmage, draws the defense in kind of, and that kind of leads to this coverage breakdown as well on the back end. But he evades these guys. He's able to get out of the pocket, reset his feet. He still keeps his eyes downfield in the midst of all of this and hit a receiver, kind of making up for this miss on this last play. This is one of the plays where if he does get picked number 1 overall, this will be one of those plays that is on like his draft highlight where like this is what he's bringing to the future for his next team. It's another angle of it here. Pressure. He saw so much pressure all night in this one. But look, continues, keep his eyes downfield. Touchdown. That's a special play. One of the reasons why he's most likely going to be the top quarterback taken. Another big 2-point conversion there, unable to convert, but tough coverage there, tough pass rush he faced on that one. This is another instance of a 2-minute drill here. Alabama going down to tie the game up, trying to tie the game up on this one. Send it to overtime. He was unable to get points on that first possession, but 3rd and 8, a big 3rd and 8 here. He made plays on 3rd down all night. It's another watch everything I've been saying about the footwork, the mechanics, stepping up into the pocket, knows where he's going with the ball, anticipation there, delivers it for a big 3rd-and-8 conversion. That one misses high on. Watch the way he throws. He said another one has to be a completion, and he's sitting on that back leg a little too long. Instead of completely loading up and going forward, he rushed that one a little bit. Good ball there on 2nd and 10. Able to get it to the outside, only where the receiver could get it. Just a simple throwaway there. Nothing cooking on that one. He's got 37 seconds now, still trying to tie it up. They continue to bring that pressure. That's one that he might have been able to have. There's no one else back there. Give the receiver a chance to make the play. Look at all the end zone in front of him, and he throws it a little bit too close to the sideline, I think. That's a great ball there. Back shoulder. That's another one where this kid has to make a catch on this one. Back shoulder. That's a play. Maybe a tad bit more to the outside. You kind of see where the ball landed on kind of that inside shoulder. Maybe a little bit more to the outside shoulder, but that's a play an NFL receiver's making. If you start with the Devontae Adams on that play, that's a catch. I know Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the league, but that's a play an NFL receiver, a top flight receiver is making, and that's who you're usually going to on these type of plays down the stretch of a game. That's got to be a catch there. Not much more Bryce Young can do on that ball. There's another play where I talked about earlier with Patrick Mahomes, where we're in overtime now. But where you see Mahomes, when he does need to run, he will. And that's 2nd and 8 there, and he knows game's on the line. He's gonna put his body out on the line and rush for that 1st down if he can. Able to step up, make a couple guys miss, break a tackle, and get a big 1st down. There's another play where he's kind of just taking where the defense gives him. He knows he still has some more plays in front of him, doesn't have to force. Incomplete there. Another play, kind of lucky to be intercepted. I would like to see him do a little bit better in the red zone. They have stalled a few times in the 2 games that I've watched in full from Alabama so far. I don't know. I don't like that, the way it ends, but with these things popping up, that's out of my control. Sorry, but he hits a receiver here on a 3rd and 4. He was money on 3rd down all night from what we saw, and he showed the ability to step up and run when he needed to as well. But this is a touchdown that ties the game up in overtime. And kind of seals the deal, I guess, for his fate for that game. LSU eventually goes out, scores, and then they have a 2-point conversion. They run a 2-point conversion for the win, and they knock off LSU, or they knock off Alabama there. But my overall summary for Bryce Young in this game, not as impressed as I was at times from the Tennessee game. I think that also kind of goes back to what I said about the lack of talent around him. We saw that in this one, I think, kind of get taken advantage of, especially up front with the offensive line. He got pressured a lot in this one. I think that kind of makes it hard to evaluate at times. The lack of talent around him impacts him, I have written down. Inconsistent mechanics do show up again, but he shows that slippery ability in the pocket and constantly keeping his eyes on field and his ability to be not only from the pocket, but able to kind of use his legs to draw the defender's attention and then continue to keep his eyes downfield and deliver like that deep touchdown pass he had. A lot of special traits you see from him in this one, but certainly some things he has to clean up, but are definitely coachable. And he does lead his team to a go-ahead score down the stretch. Not his fault that he left the field with the lead, but certainly some things to clean up. I gave him a grade in this one of a 7 out of 10. The Tennessee game, I believe I gave him an 8 out of 10. Not the perfect prospect by any stretch, but still, the kid's got a lot to work with, and I really like his game. I'm excited to get further into it and watch the next game of his. It's going to be the Texas game, and then I'm going to be moving on to Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud and Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. So we still have a few more guys to get into and go into a little bit more deeper on them, but still, I think this was another good kind of showcase of what he can do. And I really like the comparisons and the contrast from the first game where, all right, the Tennessee game, we saw a lot of times when he's missing, he's not fully transferring his weight forward and he's throwing off his back foot a lot. But he also has good moments where he's consistently keeping his eyes downfield, always looking to make plays with his receivers. So that'll do it for this episode of the Beef Upfront podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Breakdowns with Beef, Bryce Young versus LSU edition. Like I said, the next game will be the Texas one, and then we'll be diving into Anthony Richardson as well. Hopefully, hope to have another one of these out this week, but if there's not this week, definitely next week. And everyone enjoy the combine. Look forward to kind of seeing the results from that, and we'll talk soon.